The euro has dropped to $13.35, its lowest level since November 2022, as economic indicators in the eurozone get worse and business activity drops across major economies. Investors are losing faith because of the political unrest in Germany and France, along with worries about possible U.S. tariffs under President Trump's administration. The euro is dangerously close to parity with the dollar, which doesn't happen very often, and its struggles are a sign that the European Central Bank will raise in even though inflation has dropped to 2%. Cuts meant to protect the economy are causing both the manufacturing and services sectors to shrink. This is a sign of deeper systemic problems, as bond yields are falling and the economy is becoming more vulnerable. The eurozone is at a very important crossroads that could lead to long-term instability. As the largest economy in the eurozone, Germany, business activity fell for the fifth month in a row in November, with the HCOB German Flash Composite Purchasing Managers Index dropping from 48.6 in October to 47.3, which was a faster drop than expected. Even the services sector, which had been more stable, has contracted, with its index dropping from 51.6 to 49.4. Manufacturing, on the other hand, is still in recession with an index of 43.2, though it showed a small rise. The German government predicts that the economy will shrink by 0.2% in 2024. This shows that problems like global competition and an industrial slowdown are still present. Political instability, including budget disputes and looming snap elections in February, further complicates recovery efforts. Before delving into the details of this emerging news, let's talk about the history of the euro. The euro is the official currency of 20 European Union member states, collectively known as the Eurozone. Its establishment marked a significant milestone in European economic integration, aiming to facilitate seamless trade, economic stability, and political unity across the continent. Origins and development. The concept of a unified European currency dates back to the 1960s with the goal of fostering closer economic cooperation among European nations. This vision gained momentum with the MRI Treaty in 1992, which laid the groundwork for the Economic and Monetary Union, or EMU, and set the criteria for adopting a single currency. On January 1, 1999, the euro was introduced as an electronic currency for banking and financial transactions, replacing the European currency unit at a 1-to-1 ratio. During this phase, national currencies remained in circulation, but their exchange rates were irrevocably fixed against the euro. Euro bank notes and coins entered into circulation on January 1, 2002 in 12 EU countries, marking the largest cash changeover in history. National currencies were gradually withdrawn, and by March 2002 the euro had entirely replaced them as legal tender. Expansion of the eurozone. Since its inception, the eurozone has expanded to include additional EU member states that met the convergence criteria outlined in the MRI Treaty. As of 2024, EU countries have adopted the euro, with others obligated to join once they fulfill the necessary conditions. Effects on the economy and problems. The euro has made it easier to trade across borders, made prices more clear, and kept the eurozone's economy stable. However, it has also had problems, like the sovereign debt crisis in the late 2000s, which tested the strength and unity of the eurozone's economies. Since its launch in 1999, the euro has gone through several big drops, each caused by different economic and geopolitical factors. The euro fell to about $125 during the 2008 global financial crisis. This drop was caused by worries about the stability of the eurozone's financial institutions and Europe and the United States. The monetary policy responses of European central banks, or ECB, to the crisis. The widespread uncertainty caused investors to seek safer assets, which made the US dollar stronger and the euro weaker. During the European sovereign debt crisis from 2010 to 2012, the euro fell to around $120 as markets dealt with fiscal instability in countries like Greece, Ireland, and Portugal. Fears of possible defaults and the sustainability of the eurozone grew, leading to large capital outflows and further depreciation of the euro. In 2022, the euro reached parity with the US dollar for the first time in 20 years. This was due to a combination of factors, including economic problems within the Eurozone and an energy crisis made worse by geopolitical tensions and differing monetary policies between the ECB and the US Federal Reserve. Europe's move away from Russian gas supplies and the high costs of filling up gas tanks during the energy crisis put even more pressure on the euro. Let's talk about how the sanctions are affecting the Eurozone right now. The European Union's sanctions against Russia have had a big effect on the Eurozone and the value of the euro. A lot of the EU's energy imports, especially natural gas and oil, used to come from Russia. The sanctions have caused supply problems and raised energy prices. In 2021, the EU bought 71 billion euros worth of oil from Russia, which was a big part of its energy needs. With the sanctions in place, since 90% of EU oil imports from Russia were banned, energy prices and inflation have gone through the roof. There are also big limits on trade and investment between the EU and Russia. More than 48 billion euros worth of goods exported to Russia and 91.2 billion euros worth of goods imported from Russia have been blocked. This has hurt industries that depend on Russian markets and resources, making the economic downturn worse and the conflict in Ukraine worsening. As things get worse in Ukraine, the use of long-range missiles in the Ukraine-Russia conflict has increased geopolitical tensions and caused major worries about the stability of the region and the economy, including threats to the euro. In November 2024, Ukraine took a bold military action by deploying Western-supplied long-range missiles, which marked a dramatic escalation in the ongoing war. This was the first authorized use of US-supplied Army tactical missile systems ASARM for strikes within Russian territory, and it was followed by the UK's approval of British-supplied Storm Shadow missiles. On November 20, Ukraine fired 6 AACSM missiles at a Russian military facility in Belarus, damaging important infrastructure. This was followed by more strikes using Storm Shadow missiles, which made the conflict even worse. Russia's response to these events was quick and clear. As soon as Russia launched a retaliatory strike against a military site in Dnipro, Ukraine, President Vladimir Putin announced the successful test of the Oreznik, a hypersonic ballistic missile that can reach Mach 10 speeds. This marked a major increase in Russia's military power and its determination to counter Western-supplied weapons. Putin's comments after the attacks made it clear that he wanted to respond to any further involvement by the West by attacking military facilities not only in Ukraine but also in countries that might have given weapons to Kiev. The news of possible further strikes added a scary element to the conflict. Both sides' use of advanced missile systems has shown how involved Western countries are becoming in the war. This growing involvement through direct military support and advanced weapons has made people more afraid of instability in the region as a whole. The effects on the economy are becoming clearer, especially for the Eurozone. The ongoing fighting and rising tensions have already caused the market to become more volatile. Investors who are worried that the conflict could get worse are pulling their money out of Eurozone markets, which threatens the stability of the euro even more. People are losing faith in the region's currency, which is closely linked to its economic and political stability. Let's take a moment to discuss this. If you like the video so far, could you do us a small favor? Clicking like helps us reach more people, and letting us know what you think or feel in the comments has an even bigger effect. Thanks for watching. Let's go back to the idea of increased defense spending in neighboring nations. Countries like Poland and Finland that are close to the conflict are greatly improving their defenses in response to growing security concerns. Poland's plan for East Shield. Poland has begun the East Shield project, a comprehensive defense strategy that aims to strengthen its eastern borders with Russia and Belarus. This is the biggest step forward in Poland's border defenses since 1945. Physical barriers are important parts of the East Shield. Building of fortifications with anti-tank barriers that cover about 800 kilometers, 500 miles, trenches and other barriers are there to stop unauthorized crossings and possible military incursions. Advanced surveillance systems use cutting-edge airspace monitoring technologies, such as surveillance systems powered by artificial intelligence, anti-drone features, and electronic warfare tools to find and stop different threats. Building up infrastructure, setting up forward operating bases, logistics hubs and support facilities along the borders to make it easier for military forces to be quickly deployed and kept up to date. The Polish government has given out about 10 billion zlotys, 2.3 billion euros to this project, and the walls should be finished by 2028. Poland is also planning to spend 4.7% of its GDP on defense by 2025, which shows how committed it is to national and EU security. Improvements to Finland's defense. As a new member of NATO, Finland is making its defense stronger to meet alliance standards and deal with security issues in the region. Getting F-35 fighter jets is one of the most important plans. Finland has agreed to buy 64 Lockheed Martin F-35A Lightning II multirole fighters, and deliveries are set to begin in 2026. The purchase, which is worth about 8.4 billion euros, will replace Finland's old F-18 Hornet fleet and greatly improve the country's air combat capabilities. Buying advanced weapons to go with the F-35 fleet. Finland is buying up to 150 AGM-88 grams advanced anti-radiation guided missiles with an extended range and joint air-to-surface standoff missiles with an extended range. These modules will make it easier for the F-35 to attack ground-based air defenses and other important targets. Building up infrastructure. The Finnish defense company Patria has been given permission to build a facility for putting together the F-35A. This will help with maintenance and support for the new fleet. Finland's defense budget for 2024 is set at about 6.5 billion euros, which is a big investment in the country's immediate security needs. However, by 2027, defense spending is expected to drop to 1.99% of GDP. Finland is committed to strengthening its defenses in response to changing threats in the region, as shown by the current spending. The conflict in Russia has put a lot of stress on the economies of the European Union and Russia. Energy costs going up and problems chains of supply. Propane gas futures prices rose 18% in November, reaching their highest level in a year. This was due to colder weather forecasts in the US and worries about European LNG supplies. These price increases are expected to make electricity costs go up, and higher borrowing costs in countries that are affected show that investors are worried, which is why the ECB stepped in with the Securities Markets Program and direct monetary transactions. If things keep getting worse, inflation could rise and economic growth could slow down. Putting more pressure on the euro. Investors are losing faith because of the growing military conflict and the lack of certainty in geopolitics. It's been 2 years since the euro's value was this low. This is because of economic problems and political unrest. Investors may pull their money out of eurozone markets even more if the conflict gets worse, which would make prices more volatile and put downward pressure on the euro. The fact that Donald Trump was re-elected in November 2024 has made the euro even weaker. It is now worth only 15 cents, which is the lowest it has been in 13 months. Trump's plan to put a 10% tax on EU imports and a steep 60% tax on Chinese goods has caused worry about how it will affect the eurozone's export-dependent economies. Analysts say that these tariffs could cut Europe's GDP by 1.5%, or 260 billion euros. At the same time, the US dollar has gotten stronger because of expected economic growth, with the dollar index reaching its highest level in 13 months. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and if our content inspired or resonated with you, please show your support by liking it and subscribing to stay connected with our community.